Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to UCP News. As the presidential election unfolds here in Portugal, many people have cast their votes and are reflecting on the current political situation. Our next segment brings us their perspectives.
Good afternoon, this is Yasmin reporting live from the University of Lisboa, one of the primary polling sites for today's presidential election. Since 8 a.m. this morning, people have been walking in to cast their votes in one of the most highly contested elections in Portuguese history. There are a record 11 candidates running, amongst them Andre Ventura of the far-right Chega party and Antonio Seguro with the Socialist Party. There are a number of issues on the line, amongst them immigration and housing, as Portugal's housing crisis has only gotten worse in recent years, and locals are continuously being priced out of their very own cities. This is the context from the ground today, and we'll be bringing you local perspectives shortly. How do you feel after voting today?
Well, I think this is a very important election for Portugal, and I have some fears, but well, I think it's important that I did my job and now it's waiting.
And what issue is most important to you this election?
Well, I mean, there are some candidates on the far right, and one especially that is really close to winning or to going to the next voting, and I'm really afraid he wins. So I think it's really important today that the people that don't agree with him vote on the other candidates and come voting and express their thoughts on politics.
So how long have you been working at the polls?
3 months, maybe. Yeah, we started preparing everything for today 3 months ago.
And why do you think it's important for people to come out and vote?
It's not only important, it's essential because it's our future. And as a politician, we want to do the best for our community, but as a citizen, the most important is to give our opinion and choose someone who represents us. So it's essential for the safety and the future of democracy that everybody comes here to vote.
A housing project planned in front of Carcavelos Beach is raising environmental concerns and fears over its impact on one of Portugal's most iconic surf spots. Our report looks at what is at stake and how activists are responding.
Carcavelos Beach is one of the most popular surf spots near Lisbon in Portugal. But just behind this coastline, a housing construction planned in one of the area's last remaining green spaces is raising environmental concerns. The Quinta dos Ingleses project plans to develop over 50 hectares near the coastline, including housing units, underground parking, and supporting infrastructure. But whose interests are driving this project, and who should decide its future? Environmental groups are warning the project could harm the coast, its local ecosystem, and the quality of the wave, sparking growing opposition from residents and the surf community.
É necessário que exista todo um ecossistema para que também possa existir depois a praia como a conhecemos, especialmente para quem faz surf.
Constructions began after the City Council approved the project in 2024. Among those living nearby, many say they don't fully understand what is actually planned for this area.
Ainda não consigo ter uma opinião formada, eu consigo perceber quais é que podem ser aqui os dois lados da conversa, não é? Ou seja, há pessoas que por um lado acham que a Câmara podia, pegar nestes espaços e transformá-los sem haver a necessidade de ser só botão, como se costuma dizer. Por outro lado, naturalmente, a Câmara também, tendo os seus projetos, claramente que terá uma visão que, na ideia deles, será o melhor para aqui, neste caso para a zona de Carcavelos, mas para o concelho de Cascais.
But beyond construction, what are the different visions existing for the future of the Quinta?
A área devia ser de lazer e devia manter-se naturalizada como ela é. Claro, cuidada, com certeza, não é? porque ao longo destes anos todos ela foi votada ao esquecimento.
Eu acredito que possa ter alguma parte de habitação. Acho que eu não vejo mal nisso. Agora, acho que claramente os interesses de quem vive aqui à volta devem ser preservados. Criar aqui um jardim gigante, com plantar árvores para ter sombras, para as pessoas virem ao fim de semana, por exemplo.
Para nós era continuarmos aqui, que a construção fosse feita, mas tivessem em linha de conta a necessidade de se construir um ginásio, uma infraestrutura melhor que esta, naturalmente, porque esta está completamente degradada, e que nos permitisse continuar a treinar aqui.
Como estava?
Como estava bom.
Como estava?
Sei lá, abandonado, selvagem. Eu acho que a natureza é selvagem, portanto, deveria ser selvagem. Eu acho que coisas quadriculadas e muita coisinha aqui, isso já é o que temos na cidade. Se as pessoas querem oferecer uma alternativa à cidade aqui perto, a alternativa é essa, ser selvagem, não é?
With the legal process still underway, the fate of the Quinta dos Ingleses remains unknown, and so does the debate over how this land should serve the public.
For many foreigners, moving to Portugal starts with one essential document, the NIF, the Portuguese tax number. Yet obtaining it can be confusing and time-consuming. That has led to the rise of private services promising a faster and easier process. But how helpful are they, and at what cost?
One document is essential for foreigners in Portugal, the so-called NIF. Vera, a 25-year-old student from Germany, is looking online for the fastest way to get it.
So basically I want to work in Portugal, and as a German person I need to apply for that number to do so.
This is an official NIF document. It consists of 9 digits. NIF stands for Número de Identificação Fiscal. It's Portugal tax identification number. In Portugal, a NIF is required for everyday tasks, from public transport and bank accounts to phone contracts and rental agreements. For Portuguese citizens, the process is largely automatic. For foreigners, it usually requires an application at the Serviço de Finanças. But Vera did not get her number here. Instead, she chose a private service for achieving the NIF.
I think for me the process of applying here was super easy, it was super quick, and not having the stress of waiting like 3-4 hours in line and then in the end being sent away, which happened to many people as well. So I think for me this is super helpful. It's a lot of money. I think in my situation right now I feel like it's worth it, because I will also work, and I couldn't work without it. But for a service that's actually free, like the NIF is free, having to pay, like in my case 40 euros because I had a discount, but it's a lot.
Anna, on the other hand, did get her NIF at the tax office.
So I got there 1 or 2 hours before they opened, because the queue got super long and you need to take a number, and at some point they don't have enough numbers anymore. So you have to be there early in order to get a number. So I think it would have been easier to do it just beforehand online, and it was just super stressful because I had to get the NIF number, and it was just the whole day there waiting, and it was just really exhausting.
Another student reports on her experiences with a private NIF service.
I did it through the company, and then in the end I paid twice the amount by accident, and they paid me not the full amount back. So I would never do it again if I was here in the first place.
To assess the legal framework behind the NIF, we spoke to a Portuguese tax law expert.
I will say there are very specific risks to this segment of the economy of service providers. I think the caution that you should have with this segment of activity is the same caution you would with any service provider. Be aware that when service providers are not instinctively trying to take money for a simple administrative task, there is responsibility and liability associated with it. I do think some service providers might have a tendency to overcharge, but then again, each provider has its own valuation of their worth of their service.
A private NIF service was contacted but had not responded by the time of publication.
Vera got her NIF through a private service. She avoided long waiting lines at the tax office.
but she paid for a service for a document which is actually for free. The question is whether the whole process could be simpler and fully digital.
Back in 2020, Lisbon was awarded the title of European Green Capital, with ambitious goals for 2030. But now, 6 years later, official data shows the city's air pollution is already breaking those future legal limits. So what went wrong? Our reporter Alessandro Tasso is in Lisbon to find out.
Cities don't change quickly. A title alone cannot change a city. 6 years after Lisbon was named European Green Capital, the discussion is no longer about plans and promises. It's about the results. The view today is mixed. In some neighborhoods, you can find new parks, green areas, and streets shared by walkers and bicycles. In other areas, the old problems remain strong. Cars and traffic still control many streets, and air pollution is a part of everyday life. Official data confirms the air quality is still a serious concern. Lisbon's green story is now complicated. To understand what has worked and what has failed, I spoke to Francisco Ferreira, president of the environmental group Zero.
It's very important that at the structure level, you do the changes to be permanent, and actually it's more like a beginning to enhance the quality of life and the well-being of the people living or coming to Lisbon, and that actually didn't happen.
In the end, the core issues was not the first big ideas. The challenge was keeping the work going. Projects that started with strong support often lost momentum. There was not enough political continuity between different city governments, and the rules were not always enforced to make the changes permanent.
The mayor and his team never want to penalize the use of the car.
With air pollution in Lisbon still exceeding European limits and European fines a possibility, environmental groups blame the city's political leadership. At City Hall, Rui Simão, the official responsible of the green infrastructures, offer a different explanation.
I think the main conflict with green infrastructure in Lisbon is with the people and with the buildings. People want green, and they don't want green at their doors. For example, we had a little neighborhood that had no trees in there, in the center of Lisbon, and we had to eliminate one park to put a tree, and then we had 3 cars and another tree, and nobody wanted.
Between political responsibility and social resistance, where does the truth lie? Here we are in 2026, halfway to 2030 goals with promises that still feel distant.
Breaking news from São Pedro do Estoril beach, where a safety alert has been issued due to hazardous conditions. Our reporter is live.
I am at São Pedro de Estoril beach, where strong waves and rough sea conditions are hitting the coastline this afternoon. Authorities have issued a warning and are urging the public to stay away from the sea as the swell continues to build. Officials are also warning about the increased risk of rock falls along the coastline, since big, powerful waves are hitting the base of the cliffs. Until now, no injuries have been reported, but conditions remain dangerous. Officials say they are monitoring the situation closely, and we will keep you up to date as soon as we have more information. Reporting live from São Pedro do Estoril, Farina Bestvater, back to the studio.
IMA, the government organization responsible for providing asylum and issuing residency permits, is promising to shorten waiting times. For years, the agency has faced major delays, leaving many migrants awake at night with uncertainty about their future. Will 2026 finally bring any change?
IMA, the Agency for Integration, Migration and Asylum, well known and criticized for long procedures and never-ending waiting lines, has been for years one of the most complained about government agencies here in Portugal. After rejecting nearly 50,000 applications last year, IMA now says it will give release to the migrants. The agency claims it will shorten the waiting time period needed to obtain residency permits. and will begin issuing approval certificates for those with application under review or awaiting renewal.
My experience with AIMA started already several years ago when it was transitioning from the previous organization, CEF, a process that already created a lot of problems because a lot of documents got stuck in a way. When I first arrived to Portugal, it was a pretty straightforward process. You came, you applied, you got your appointment. Today the situation is completely different. The biggest obstacle is mainly just simply getting an appointment. Even with the new system, the process didn't become easier because the form simply doesn't work. It happened to the majority of students.
Veronica's story is not an isolated case. Every year, more than 500,000 migrants apply for residency with AIMA, with many of those applications being unresolved.
So my name is Shakib and I'm from Bangladesh. In 2021, the law is not changed to if you have a 5 years legally, you can apply. The countries is small, the people are lot of different issue, but they are get a decision slowly. I wait for my decision, then I open to other show. So I have a plan. My second resident card. There I see the AIMA portal.
You can track what's happening and everything.
Yeah, because they're right waiting for AIMA decision.
We're speaking with Paulina Barac, who's a lawyer. So can you tell us what's happening at AIMA and what has actually changed in the law?
Actually, in Portugal, the law changed last year, and it created a lot of confusion. Since April last year, the rule is simple. AIMA only accepts complete residence applications. If anything is missing, the application is not proceed. That's a big change from before. If someone applies for a renewal, for example, the law allows them to stay in Portugal for up to 6 months. In theory, AIMA should give an appointment within a reasonable time. In practice, unfortunately, many people wait much longer. The main reason is volume. Last year, hundreds of thousands of migrants applied while the government was also changing migration rules, created a serious backlog. Poland, for example, works differently. If a migrant applies on time, they can stay legally while their case is in process.
Here, many migrants rely on the approval certificates that AIMA promised to issue, but can they trust these documents?
Certificates confirms that an application exists. They are not a residence permit. And it's very important. They don't allow travel in Schengen, for example, and they're not always accepted by employers. So actually, they offer limited protection. The delays will continue, in my opinion, in 2026. AIMA says it wants to improve processing, but migrants, I think, should still expect long waiting times and legal uncertainty.
We contacted AIMA for a statement on which measures they're planning to take, but we didn't receive any response. In this case, we can only hope the best for the migrants, that the waiting times in 2026 will be shortened.
Portugal's latest internal security report highlights recurring crimes in urban areas, including assault, threats and theft. In Lisbon, Caixa Sodré shows how these concerns unfold in everyday life.
Caixa Sodré is one of Lisbon's busiest districts. Crowds fill the streets at all hours, but not everyone feels safe anymore. Here, two young women share their first-hand experiences.
My bag was pulled. I turned, holding my bag really tightly, and I saw this man, and he was covered with blood. And so I tried to move away from him, but he had in his hand this bottle of glass broken, and so he took my arm. And with the bottle, tried to hit me, but I managed to escape him, and I screamed, and then he looked at me and he went away. So it was really scary, and also I screamed, but nobody cares. It was full of tourists, but still nobody even looked at me or asked me if I were okay. I went to the police and I told them what's happening, and at the end they managed to find him and they arrested him. When I'm in that area, I always keep my bag in front of me where I can see it, and I pay maybe more attention.
It was around 8 in the evening and there were people around. But at one point, I don't know why, I started to feel unsafe, and I actually realized that someone was following me. In the beginning, I tried to create some distance, and I actually thought that I had lost him. But actually, a few moments later, I noticed that I had been pickpocketed, and so since then, I avoid completely going to Caixa Sodré alone.
We contacted the police to provide an institutional perspective on public safety in Caixo de Sodré, but we did not receive a reply in time for this report. Meanwhile, testimonies from people who work in this area offer an insight into how security is experienced on a daily basis.
Caixo de Sodré está muito mal. Temos problemas acerca de droga, carteiristas, pickpockets, como disse, e em questão de segurança das pessoas. Nós já temos os nossos problemas, assim como sem-abrigos, que eles que causam mais problemas aqui na área. De manhã, por exemplo, das 7 da manhã até às 9 horas, passam sempre com o carro por volta de 30 minutos. De tarde, nós temos Lisboa cheia, está sempre cheia e não há um polícia.
The police officers don't have the freedom to act, and the people around, not in the morning, but in the end of the day, they ask for cigarettes, for money, for the other people, and they're using crack, the worst ones, and some thieves.
Caixo de Sodré draws streams of tourists, but as locals confirm, safety remains a real concern for everyone navigating its streets.
At first glance, Lisbon never really seems to sleep. Cafes stay open late, nightlife spills into the streets, and the city hums with movement. But once the public transport stops operating at night, many night owls find themselves stranded.
Lisbon's metro opens at 6:30 a.m. and closes at 1 a.m. every day. Also, trams and trains stop operating during the night, leaving passengers with only 2 bus lines on weekdays, weekends and public holidays after 1 a.m. For a city with more than 1.2 million people in its urban area, the offer of public transportation at night does not meet the demand.
Well, the offer is not so big, meaning there are few public transportations, buses or even metro, so it's quite low.
Other cities have more offer. For example, in Madrid, there are a huge line of buses and trains and stuff, and metro. And in Portugal, I don't feel that we have that.
As far as I know, there aren't any or many offers at all. That's why we always take an Uber or Bolt home. So yeah, not many offers, and that's quite a shame.
For example, in cities like Madrid, people always take the buses in. I took the buses in Madrid at night. It was super safe because it was full of people of my age.
In addition to the scarce offer, several passengers report safety issues as well.
At this point, as no one or almost no one takes the buses, I think it will be a little bit uncomfortable for me, a girl alone at a bus during the night.
I tried to use it and I didn't feel safe at all.
Usually, my friends and people of my age always take the Uber.
Even the existing offer of bus lines during the night raised concerns regarding the reliability, leading potential passengers to avoid these lines entirely.
I'm pretty sure they are not very punctual.
I mean, I use buses during the day and they are not reliable at all, so I would expect them to be not reliable in the night as well.
They aren't reliable during the day, so I believe that during the night they won't be as well.
The responsible operator for night traffic in Lisbon, Caixo Metropolitana, increased the offer in 2025 with more than 70 schedules to meet the growing demand for mobility solutions at night. Travelers, however, seem not to feel the impact of that measure.
I didn't saw any news about that information.
I don't feel any difference between years before and now.
Unfortunately, Caixo Metropolitana declined to comment on this report. If the mobility infrastructure in the Portuguese capital will improve during the night in the future remains unclear. As of now, there are no further public announcements regarding the increase of schedules.
We interrupt our programming for breaking news. We go live to Avenida da Liberdade in central Lisbon.
Good afternoon. Today here on Avenida da Liberdade, traffic is being disrupted because a tree fell on the road due to strong winds. Authorities are now on site and emergency crews are clearing the area. No injuries have been reported so far, but drivers are advised to seek alternative roads until the problem is solved. We will keep updated as more information comes in.
Lisbon is known for its beautiful tile work and outstanding architecture, but inside the houses the situation is often difficult. High humidity and problems in construction lead to mold and mildew that the residents have to deal with every day.
When Catarina chose Lisbon as the place to spend her semester abroad, she was looking forward to the mild climate, but the Portuguese winter brought more problems than she anticipated. The most prominent one, the mold in the student's apartment.
I've been living here since like nearly 5 months. I noticed the mold directly when we moved in. It was like in the kitchen, in the bathrooms, and also in our rooms. I've tried to get rid of it multiple times, but it keeps coming back.
One of the main reasons for the mold growing in Lisbon housing is the wet and humid climate, as Andre Borges explains, manager at a cleaning company.
Mold in Lisbon is it's part of something that you get in the winter. It comes with the humid climate. Everyone gets cold, so they close the windows, and then all the humidity inside gets trapped. That creates water on the walls, and as soon as you have water, plus everyone has the heating you were talking about on. So water plus heat and humidity plus heat creates mold.
Mold is not only an aesthetic problem, but it can also cause health concerns. Barfe, who's studying abroad in Lisbon just like Katarina, has experienced this herself due to the mold in her room.
I think in my room especially I have more than the others do have, because I have like bathroom, so the humidity is like a little bit more than the others have. I have been sick in December for 2 weeks, and I have never been for so long. And then I tried to search what affections it had. It made my eyes wet, my nose was running, I was coughing continuously, and it's like hurting to my throat.
Tenants like Barfe can only do so much against the mold, since the building's structural problems are an even bigger issue than the humidity, according to civil engineer Luis Sequeira.
Mold it's a big problem because our buildings are old. We must preserve our envelope of the building. The windows, improving the windows, and especially the roof and the facades of the buildings.
While renovating the buildings is up to the owners, tenants can take certain precautions against the mold.
If you reduce the humidity, then there's no extra water circulating in the air. If you want to heat it up, it's okay. There's no problem. So that's the things we can control.
International students like Katarina and Barfe can just go home after the semester abroad and leave the mold behind. For permanent residents, the situation is more difficult. While taking individual precautions is helpful, the developments in construction are a necessary step, so Lisbon will keep being known for its beautiful tilework instead of the mold and mildew in its buildings.
They arrive alone from all around the globe, chasing a different way of living. Lisbon is a magnet for expats and digital nomads, but what happens after they unpack?
Long summers and mild winters are part of the appeal. Lisbon has become one of Europe's main hubs for expats and digital nomads, people who live abroad while working remotely. About 1 out of 6 of those living in the city are legal foreign residents. Estimates suggest around 16,000 digital nomads are currently based here. From Brazil to Italy, from Nepal to the United States, people arrive in Lisbon in search of a new way of life. Many come alone, hoping to start fresh in an unfamiliar environment. But how easy is it to build a life here? The Slovenian Amadea is one of those trying to set foot and build a social life in Lisbon. How's it going?
Like many other people, I arrived on my own. At first, it felt exciting, but also a bit overwhelming because I didn't know anyone. I also work remotely, so my days are quite flexible, but I discovered that in order to really have a social life, just working wouldn't be enough. I actually had to do something about it. So I organized, I met some of my peers, like people from my country, and I organized hiking trips and also fun activities. Every one of us is in a similar situation. You don't know people, and you just want to improve your social life because we all work remotely, so it's kind of hard to have a good social life. For me, this made a really big difference because Lisbon can feel a lot like home when you start sharing everyday moments with also other people, not just yourself.
Building a life abroad goes beyond visas and paperwork. For many expats, daily routines revolve around cafes, co-working spaces, and shared work environments. Social connections are often built through language exchanges, online groups, and meetups, creating international communities that sometimes exist alongside, rather than within local life. But what remains after the initial excitement and nervousness? Coming from Italy, Filippo tells his story.
From the outside, it looks like freedom. You work from anywhere, you choose your own rhythm, live somewhere beautiful. But once you're here, you realize how everything is really fragile. And your job, your visa, even your friendships, none of it feels permanent. People arrive, people leave. This version of your life is could disappear quite quickly. And at first, that feels exciting, but then it becomes tiring. Also, sometimes you ask yourself whether this lifestyle is really about belonging or just about staying in motion.
Also, there is more to expats, digital nomads, and the impact they have on a city that meets the eye.
The influx of newcomers hasn't been without consequences. Rising rents and gentrification have sparked discussion about affordability and belonging, questions that Lisbon and many other European cities are still struggling to answer.
Erasmus is one of Europe's best-known student exchange programs. While it aims to promote equal access to international education, experiences abroad can differ significantly. This report explores the Erasmus experience through questions of access, support and well-being.
Erasmus is one of Europe's best-known student exchange programs. It aims to promote international learning, cultural exchange, and equal access to education across borders. Every year, thousands of students take part in exchange programs across Europe. But experiences of studying abroad can differ depending on personal circumstances, access to resources and available support structures.
Hi, I'm the Erasmus coordinator. From our university's perspective, our role is mainly coordination. So our aims are informing students, guiding them through the process and helping them prepare for their time abroad. We try to make sure students know what to expect and where to find support.
While Erasmus places strong emphasis on inclusion and equal opportunities, access to studying abroad is influenced by many factors. Financial resources, personal stability and access to information can shape how students experience studying in another country.
I'm really glad that I had the courage to go on Erasmus at the end of my master's degree, because during my bachelor's it didn't work out due to different circumstances, but one was my financial situation. And one thing I noticed is that the Erasmus experience is often portrayed as completely life-changing and amazing. An amazing experience for everybody who's brave enough to go abroad, but at the same time living in a new country can come with challenges. So I would say it's very important that we have diverse stories about the Erasmus experience told from different perspectives.
Erasmus is often promoted at the time of your life by organizations, social media and universities, but in reality experience can look very different.
I think Erasmus definitely offers many great opportunities, but of course not all students start from the same position. So for me, the decision not to go abroad was influenced by several factors, especially financial responsibilities and personal circumstances. So I think students would like to do Erasmus, but things like money or housing or work commitments or family responsibilities can make it much harder to organize.
Erasmus remains one of Europe's most important education programs. But as student mobility continues to grow, questions of access, support and inclusion remain central. Understanding different student experiences is key to making international education more accessible in the future.
Every day tons of good food go to waste, while thousands struggle to afford food and go hungry. One non-governmental organization, ReFood, is changing that reality by rescuing surplus food and delivering hope to the most vulnerable in society.
I am standing at one of ReFood's distribution points here in Benfica, where volunteers are working tirelessly to make sure no one goes hungry. This NGO connects restaurants, supermarkets, and volunteers to rescue surplus food and deliver it directly to people in need.
ReFood is a non-profit organization that fights food waste while supporting vulnerable members of the society. Every day, volunteers collect surplus food that would otherwise be thrown away and redistribute it to families, elderly people, and individuals facing food insecurity. With the help of dedicated volunteers from diverse backgrounds, ReFood not only provides meals, but also builds a strong sense of community and solidarity.
Okay, my name is Benjamin Chikundu, and I've been volunteering for 3 weeks now.
Why did you decide to volunteer here at ReFood?
Okay, so from time immemorial, volunteering has been a soft spot for me. So I always find avenues to give back to the community. And being a part of this community, I believe that there are people that need this food. And in what way do I, be a part of the intervention, if not to volunteer my services to them, and in doing what I'm doing, because I believe that it will reach the common man on the street. So that's why I'm volunteering.
Helena Batista.
How does it feel to help people who need food?
The ReFood goal are twofold. One is to stop wastage of food, and the second one is to give that food that is still good to people that need it. So for me, both of them are very important. Of course, it feels good to give food to people that need it, but it's also very good to make sure that we are not wasting so much food in the world.
Why do you think ReFood's work is important for the community?
It's very important that we stop wasting our food. The resources are limited, and we seem not to realize that, and we keep wasting our resources. So it's important that we take care of all of the resources that we have.
How do the people feel when they receive food from ReFood?
I have always felt that people feel grateful, and at least I hope that they feel that they are not getting just what the others don't want, but it is still good food. At least that's what they tell us, and that they are important also.
We are following breaking news from Nazaré, where the big swell hit again with over 25-meter waves. We were expected to have a surf window, however, the authorities just issued a red alert due to worsening ocean conditions. Our reporter is live in Nazaré with the latest updates for you.
Good morning. We're in Farol de Nazaré, where the authorities have issued a red alert warning due to storm Ingrid and the worsening ocean conditions. The storm has destroyed several villages along the Portuguese coast, but the situation in Nazaré is calm. As you can see behind me, the waves are not as high as the previous days, and the intensity of the wind has also decreased. We're expecting to have a surfing window in the coming hours. There's a lot of people, but we'll keep you updated on how the situation unfolds.
Lisbon is witnessing the growth of organized running communities. What began as a fitness activity is now influencing social dynamics, public spaces, and everyday life in the city. Our reporter goes into these spaces to observe these dynamics firsthand.
In the recent years, Lisbon has seen the rise of organized running communities. What was a fitness activity has become a social movement, transforming the way people interact with the city and with each other. From riverfront paths to historical neighborhoods, these groups are reshaping the social spaces. Early mornings and late evenings, Lisbon streets are increasingly filled with groups of runners. They meet regularly, often organized through social media, and follow routes that pass through some of the city's most iconic public spaces. Beyond physical exercise, these running communities offer sometimes more social connections, routine, and a sense of belonging in a fast-paced urban environment.
Where can I go that is more interesting, maybe somewhere new? So in this way, yes, I think running is a brilliant way to know any city. And we get a lot of people who come to visit. Maybe they're just a tourist, or they're a part-time, short reason that they're in the city because of work, or they're a student, and it's a good way for them to get to know the first time.
These groups don't just run through the city, they actively occupy it. Parks, riverside paths, and even narrow streets become shared social spaces, raising questions about how public areas are being used and redefined. As participation grows, so does visibility. Some residents welcome the energy and sense of safety these groups bring. Others point to congestion and shared space conflicts, especially during peak hours.
It's people who have come here and they just want to know people, and so the social run means that they can they don't worry too much about the running. It's an excuse to know people.
As Lisbon continues to grow, organized running communities reflects a broader shift in urban life, where health, social connection, and public space intersects. What began as exercise is now part of the city daily rhythm.
At first glance, Lisbon's metro station Picoas looks ordinary, filled with phone shops and small eateries in the middle of the financial district. But just below the surface, an unexpected creative hub is quietly thriving.
Here in Picoas metro station, 6 art studios get to stay and exhibit for free, all sponsored by the metro. Their goal is to create more cultural spaces within the city. We are meeting with the art collective Mais Uno, Mais
Today we have the opening of the exhibition with Antonio Costa.
Frederike and Nicole both work in the collective and created the exhibition.
And it's also this interesting area to present it within the metro, the urban space. So you also have a lot of people passing by. We have had interactions towards that with workshops and performances.
It's a rent-free space, which means that we are able to provide that space as well rent-free for people to use. It's very accessible also because it's an open door and it's democratically, it's a very accessible space. It's the subway, it's the public transport.
Yeah, I think what I enjoy the most is like just have the visibility and interaction.
In the metro, in the middle of Lisbon's financial district, you'd expect food stalls or phone shops, not particularly art studios. We asked Sachin what he thinks of his special neighbors.
Able to meet with the different creative person and with the different mindset people. And I'm happy, I'm glad that I have a store nearby there, the artist store.
So you visit them as well
Yes,
sometimes?
I do, yes.
For 2 years now, since the studio opened, it was rarely without an exhibition. The demand is high, and the crisis in Lisbon's cultural industry is clearly being felt.
A lot of cultural spaces have been closing down and due to high rents. We know that for a fact.
I feel like you can see a lot of like showing up, closing again. It's a lot of change.
Cultural spaces in Lisbon are struggling due to gentrification. Mais Uno has found a great solution for that by staying in Picoas metro station for free. And the passengers, they like it.
I've noticed the art studios. I sometimes look into them, me and my friends, and we look at all the paintings inside, but many times we wonder what's actually going on because we can't like go in and look around. So, yeah.
It's a great idea and a way to utilize this area because it was not being useful for the community.
And finally, along Portugal's Atlantic coast, the Fisherman's Trail is attracting a growing number of women hikers. The Fisherman's Trail is a unique way to experience both Portugal's natural beauty and its coastal heritage. Here is our report.
The Fisherman's Trail offers around 226 kilometers to hike along the coastline of Portugal. The trail consists of 13 stages. It starts in São Torpes and ends in Lagos and is considered one of the most beautiful hikes in the world. The hike is a part of the Rota Vicença network, a collection of cycling and hiking trails in the southwest of Portugal. The Fisherman's Trail is so named because it follows the centuries-old tracks used by local fishermen to access the best fishing spots along this section of Portugal's coastline. The stunning scenery attracts many hikers and more women as well. Eva is one of them. She's a Slovenian Erasmus student in Lisbon and shares her story.
So you did 4 days of the trail. How did it look like those days?
I was with my backpack alone. I reserved the hostels I'm gonna sleep in, and that was about it. Then I just walked.
You didn't end in Lagos.
No, I only did 4 days. The whole trail is 12 days, but it's hard to find that much time on Erasmus. So I ended in Odekshishek.
Did you meet a lot of other hikers along the way?
Yeah, I feel like there were still a lot of hikers, even though I went in November, which I think is a little bit off season. But there was a lot of women on the trail, some couples, not a lot of men. And most people were alone or in pairs.
And Do you think there is a reason why a lot of female hikers do it?
I was wondering that myself, but I think it's just a very aesthetically pleasing trail, and also the fact that even though you walk alone throughout the day, there's always a city at the end, so it's pretty safe, I think, and that's why I think it attracts a lot of women to do it.
And how did you find out about the trail?
My 4th week in Lisbon, I met with some Slovenian girls from home, and she said that she did it and it was the most beautiful thing she did. So she recommended it to me, and then I looked it up and I saw some information about the hostels and how to plan your days, and I decided to do it. So, yes.
Are you thinking of ever finishing the whole trail?
Yes, I would really like to do it in the future. I think I wonder what else is there to see along the way.
What was the most memorable part of the hike for you?
I really liked the views and the fact that you always walk by the sea. But the whole experience was really nice because I never did a hike alone, and I think that's what made it special.
So would you recommend it to other people?
Definitely. I think the views are really pretty, and it's a really nice way that you visit a town every day, and it's a nice challenge to have.
This was UCP News. Good evening and stay safe.